Hello, Abigail here with the Tarotscopes for Aries season, Aquarius sun, moon, and rising. My dear Aquarians, this is something else when it comes to Aries season. So we're used to this chaotic Mars ruled, spring fueled, favorish season. And it is that and also more because we start off with the spring equinox, which is the beginning of Aries season, in the middle of eclipses. So we have that Mercury full moon eclipse that happened back in Pisces season, and we're entering in with this solar eclipse in Aries on, I believe, the 28th. So this season has an extra special vibe. This zodiac year has an eclipsey energy, this kind of like we're going to be going through a time warp. A lot is going to happen in a short amount of time. And it feels like it might slow down a little bit in the fall and early and late summer or midsummer. Um, but a lot of this year is just going to be back to back to back change, transformation. Something that I meditated on at the beginning of the Gregorian year was as I was sitting and thinking, just the image of a shake. It's Mercury retrograde, guys. We're gonna blame that. A snake shedding its skin, shedding its skin, and just that kind of release is going to happen over and over again this season until we have a fresh, new, beautiful, shiny skin and not personality, but kind of this reworking of identity and how we show up in the world and releasing people's perceptions and our own kind of stories we tell about ourselves. Um, and so that's what's in the season. Also, there's a Venus retrograde, there's a Mercury retrograde. They both station direct in April, so still in Aries season. April 7th is when Mercury stations direct, and then April 12th, on the day of the Libra full moon, we get Venus stationing direct, which is extra special because that's a Venus moon. So there is a special magic in that moment of progress. And yes, stationing can be hard with a planet, but it does feel as though the gears are finally shifting in a different direction, which I think by that time we will all deeply appreciate. So, yeah, and then also Neptune moves into Aries for the first time. Mars finally re enters Leo and gets close ish to the end of its post retrograde shadow. So, there's a lot of action in this season, and it doesn't feel like we have a whole lot of control over it. There are a couple signs that might get their fingies on some stuff, but that's only because the eclipses are like dropping it in their lap. No one's getting anything done by planning and strategizing. The best laid plans are going to be wrecked. So relieve yourself as, or release yourself as a Saturn ruled person from this responsibility to do and produce and break down and create. Um, that's going to happen on its own. You will still be participating, but you don't have a whole lot to say in how it goes. And how I kind of view eclipses from the modern perspective is they're like time warps between that, especially that kind of middle 2 weeks between those eclipses. It's like a time warp when things just speed up and things that were meant to be happen. And it can be good or bad or however you perceive it. But a lot of stuff is going to change in the weeks that we experience in Aries season. So buckle up. All right. So getting into it, this is your card for this season. It is the flame. I do love it. It is this kind of idea of sustained energy, but also there is a sense of isolation. So, in this moment, you're going to need to feed and cultivate and protect yourself, but also don't try to burst into a bonfire. You are just a little flame doing your thing, lighting up the space that you need to lighten up, and do what you need to do. Um, you don't need to create something bigger in this moment. You just need to sustain the flame that you have. And Aries season will take care of the rest. If you get a bonfire, it'll be because the universe did it, not because you built one. And I know it might feel a little sketchy not to have your hands on things as an Aquarian. I know a lot of my Aquarians kind of fight this very Saturnian air dichotomy of wanting to kind of let things happen and also wanting to make sure they have their hands on it at the same time. So release that need. You can have your hands on this flame. You can put them around it and protect it from the wind, but you don't need to try to make it anything other than what it is because the universe is doing so much around you that you just can't see because it's just one flame. And while that might feel a little stifling or a little unenergized, you need to take a little break to let the universe do what it needs to do. Release yourself from the need to perform and to perfect and to be better and more. That's not what this Aries season is about. This Aries season is about being closer and more attuned to the essential you and channeling more of your energy towards this kind of natural progression versus constantly shoving yourself in situations that, while you can make them work, maybe you don't want to make them work. Maybe you need to just let them crash and burn. And then you can rise from the ashes like Phoenix and start working more in tune to yourself so that things don't have to crash and burn when you wear out. Um, I think this is funny. Today, I just keep getting the Hierophant. So I read these readings. Um, I get kind of energetically worn out. So I read them in groups of 3, groups of 2, and the energy of the day definitely affects it as well as the energy of the season. And today the Hierophant has been everywhere. And I love this Hierophant because firstly, it's a crow. Well, actually, this might be a raven. It is a black bird of magical essence. That's all I care about. And they're holding a key. They love kind of like the lightning going to the key. There's this inspiration and insight. And if this is a raven, like I think it is, or a very feisty crow, you know, there's ancient wisdom in these birds. Many cultures accept that the ravens and the crows are very magical and deeply inspired. And also, what I love about them too is they are innately themselves. They aren't concerned about transforming into anything extra special. They're like, I'm a magical hoe, deal with it. And I love that energy from them. So, in this season, become a raven, become a crow, become so confident in the essence of who you are that you tell people to deal with it. And you pick up your little trinkets. And in this case, it's a key. So, knowledge and understanding and the ability to kind of open doors and unlock the mysteries. That is the essence of this season for my Aquarians. And I think viewing yourself as an ancient, spiritual, magical being is probably healthier than how you're viewing yourself now. There's just a sense I feel around Aquarius, especially with Pluto entering into that house, where it can feel really heavy and as though you need to do this deep kind of purge of who you are and the mistakes you've made. That's not necessary. You are fine the way you are. And if anything, with Pluto and that Pluto journey up until 2043, it's a long one. Um, it's not about remaking who you are. It's about using Pluto to kind of plumb those depths and to pull out the essence of yourself that maybe has been hidden or overstructured or blurred in the process of life and the knocks that life can give us. Moving on, we have a Mother of Swords. It's about self trust, it's about self initiation. And once again, this kind of theme of bird wisdom coming through, trust. Trust what you know. Trust who you know yourself to be. Trust what you believe in. Trust the person you are becoming, the person that you have been. It also might mean, excuse me, I have tummy problems and they sometimes erupt. Um, it might mean that you need to go visit the past a bit and maybe come with it from a fresh perspective. Um, cut some cords with this sword of past things that have held you back. And instead of viewing the amount of time it took you to do it as a failure, view it as the right time, as this is the moment to do the thing that wasn't meant to be done before. It's not that you failed in the past to release yourself from something, it's that the time wasn't right and now you're doing the right thing. This season, the chaos, the energy, it's all about perspective. It's all about the stories that we tell ourselves in moments of stress and overwhelm and the reworking of what seems like everything. Um, so trust in the timing of things, trust in your need to go through a process. You are Saturn, you are time, and time is a process as well as construct. But you don't need to be everything all at once all the time. You just need to be what you are and who you need to be. And this beautiful Queen of Swords knows that and knows where to put that energy and does not regret the past. and does not overplay for the future. She just is. And then we have the Hermit, which is also the lovely card of the year. And I also love it because guess what is on top of this beautiful little tortoise? A flame. This is very much kind of your walk in the dark of this year, where you're going to have to go it alone a bit. What I tell people when this card shows up, because it is a very isolating card, that there are also a lot of people crawling around in the dark with you. You just can't quite see them. And it's okay to reach out and, hold a helping hand and communicate through whispers in the darkness. Um, but yeah, you're on a journey to find something. And maybe you know what that thing is, and maybe you don't. I think in this Aries season, you might find out what some of it is. So trust and know that this is a journey that takes time, and that time is valuable, and that you need to do this. And it's not you fixing mistakes of the past, it's you going deeper into what the future could mean for you. So follow and trust and move with this energy. With the tortoise, it's not fast. It's not going to be lightning speed. You're not going to accomplish a bunch. But through this journey, you're going to learn something you really need to know. And so you really need to be paying attention. You really need to be listening to what the universe is saying. But not as in like, oh no, I missed it, now I feel bad. But as in like being open and receptive to whatever comes through in whatever form. And not being picky about the form that it comes through in. And then we have our beautiful hanged man, or hanged one. I prefer hanged one. Um, yeah, it is the ethos of this season. It's part of the reason why I said just let the flame be the flame. Like you can protect it, you can nurture it, but don't try to make the flame anything more than the flame, because you don't have a whole lot of control. This Aries season is going to feel like a suspension in time, as though, the past and the present and the future all kind of amalgamate into one, and you can't really do anything about it. So trust. And while the hanged one can be deeply frustrating, I love the image of the bat, because the bat naturally hangs upside down. So instead of kind of this figure in an awkward position being held upside down either by its own will or by the will of the universe, this is the bat taking a nap. So take a nap this season. Rest, recuperate, nurture not just the part of your chart that has Aquarius in it, but all the other parts of your chart. Ask yourself, maybe this is the moment, and oftentimes this is why the hanged man shows up. This is the moment for you to ask yourself what you really want and what you really need. And no, maybe you can't take that progress and take those steps in Aries season, but in Taurus season, you can definitely get that going. So, Aquarius placements. What do you want and what do you need in order to be and have and do the things that you're called to do? You don't have to answer it now, but definitely this Aries season, really think about your desires and think about what makes you you and the ways that you work better. Does the life you have work with who you are as a person, not who you want to be as a person, who you are innately? Because we are all meant to live within the cycles of our own nature. And so often we try to pull ourselves out of it to be and do something else. And that's just not who we are and what we're called to do. So take that, consider that, sit with that maybe this season. And the cards gave us an extra card. I usually try to do about 5 cards for these readings, but we're getting 6 because the Emperor popped out. In all of this, you are a towering tree. You are mighty and powerful. I also love that there is an eclipse, a solar eclipse up here. So this really feels like that solar eclipse on the 28th of March. You're powerful and you have what you need to be powerful. And it doesn't mean you've been squandering up to this time, but it means you've had to sort through a lot of things, kind of going back to that queen, or rather mother in this deck of swords, of kind of releasing yourself from stuff. It's not that you're weak or that you weren't able to do stuff better before. It's that the time wasn't right, but the time is now to really connect to yourself. Also, your ruler's entering into Aries, and it's going to be in those early degrees of Aries, just like this eclipse. So, what are the messages you're getting now in the solar eclipse that are going to carry you through 2025, 2026 with that Saturn transit? Excuse me. And how can you start to embody this emperor energy, this firm, secure, powerful, ancient energy? you're a fixed sign. Be fixed. Not all the time, but you know what I mean. Stand in your power. Believe in what you've done and the things you've learned and grown through, and don't see yourself as a bunch of pieces that have failed. See yourself as a bunch of pieces that have been finding their way home. And then ask yourself, what is home? And then embody that. And that is the Emperor. And I bring up home because our last card is the Four of Wands, which I love. All of this transformation and shifts and kind of being at the whims, well, feeling like you're at the whims of the universe. I don't really view the universe's intention as whim, but feeling kind of tossed about by the universe. Where is your grounding? Where is your home? And maybe you don't have a physical one, but what is a space that you feel at home in? And how can you root down into it? What is a feeling and a space and a group maybe where you can root down and plant your four stakes, put a roof over your head, and how can you create that stability and comfort and sense of home and belonging, regardless of what Aries season brings. And it does also remind me that this has come up in a lot of readings, a little less so today, but part of comfortability is also coping in a world that is uncomfortable. So, what are some coping mechanisms that can make you feel at home? And yeah, maybe they're old ones, maybe they're ones you haven't used in a while. As long as they don't harm you or someone else, what's the harm? What is something that can bring you home? What is something that can make you feel safe in your body? What is something that can stabilize you in this moment? And maybe it's a physical place, maybe it's a person, maybe it's a thing, maybe it's a coping mechanism. But find a sense of home this season. If you say, I don't have a home, how can you cultivate that sense? And yeah, I absolutely believe in the need for something physical and tactile for safety and home. But in a moment that's ever changing, what can home mean for you for now? And how can you find that and integrate it and rest in that and take your little naps there to kind of navigate this season? All right, my Aquarians, I know it feels like a lot. I know a lot of you are overwhelmed, and I see you and appreciate that. I don't expect you to be okay, but remove some of the pressure to be more than okay. Remove the pressure to have things right, to have already figured things out. You're an Aquarian. Your entire life is a journey of understanding and knowledge. There's no need to rush it. All right, my loves. Blessed Aries season, blessed eclipse season, blessed spring equinox. We could just go down the list. Please like and subscribe if this resonated. I believe in you. I will see you in a different space and time.